We have seen a large number of conflicting reports in the media on the crash of a Boeing 777 operated by Malaysia Airlines on the 17th of July en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. This is why the Defence Ministry has decided to release the monitoring data that was available to the General Staff of the Armed Forces. On this chart, you can see the international corridor that the airliner was supposed to fly through. Please note that the plane remained within this corridor until it reached Donetsk, but then it deviated northwards from its route. Its maximum deviation to the left of the corridor was 14 kilometers. After that, we can see the plane maneuvering to return to the corridor. But the Malaysian Airlines crew did not get the chance to complete the maneuver. At 17:20, the plane began to lose speed, and at 17:23 it disappeared from Russian radars. What was the reason for the plane leaving the corridor? Was this a navigation error on the part of the crew, or were they simply following the instructions issued by Ukrainian air traffic controllers in Dnipropetrovsk? We will only be able to answer these questions after we analyze the data from the flight recorders, the black boxes, and listen to the ground control communications. As far as we know, the Ukrainian military had 3 or 4 air defense battalions equipped with Buk M1 surface-to-air missile systems deployed in the vicinity of Donetsk on the day of the crash. This system is capable of hitting targets within a range of 35 kilometers up to an altitude of 22 kilometers. What was the purpose of deploying such a large group of air defense systems near Donetsk, given that the militia brigades, as we all know, have no planes? This chart shows that the route taken by the airliner and the place where the Boeing 777 was supposedly shot down were within the range of Ukraine's Buk M1 missile systems. We have satellite images of the locations where Ukraine had deployed its air defense units in the southeastern provinces of the country. The first 3 photos were taken on July the 14th. The first of them shows Buk launchers stationed 8 kilometers northwest of Lugansk. You can clearly see one radar-equipped launch vehicle and 2 other launchers. The second image shows radars 5 kilometers to the north of Donetsk. You can see 2 target acquisition radars along with other equipment and technical structures. The third photograph shows air defense systems north of Donetsk. You can clearly see a radar-equipped launcher and about 60 military and auxiliary vehicles along with tents for the vehicles and other structures. Here is a photo of the same area taken on July the 17th. Note that the launcher has disappeared. The fifth photo shows a battery of Buk missiles in the village of Zaroshinskoye, 50 kilometers east of Donetsk and 8 kilometers south of Shakhtersk, on the morning of the same day. This raises the question of why the battery was deployed right next to the militia-controlled area shortly before the tragedy. The sixth photo shows the same area on July the 18th. As you can see, the battery is no longer there. On July the 17th, we also observed increased activity from Ukraine's 9S-18 target acquisition radars, which are part of the Buk system. On this chart, you can see that there were 7 radars operating on July the 15th, 8 radars on July the 16th, and 9 radars operating on July the 17th in the area. Then, starting on July the 18th, the intensity of radar activity radically decreased, and currently there are only 2 or 3 radars operating daily. The reason for this is not clear. I would also like to show you data on the air traffic situation in the Donetsk area on that day. Here you can see data from the monitoring system for the time period from 1710 up to 1730 Moscow time. During this time interval, there were 3 civilian planes in the area on scheduled flights. A flight from Copenhagen to Singapore passed over at 1717. Then there was a flight from Paris to Taipei at 1724, and finally the flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. Russian monitoring systems also registered that there was a Ukrainian Air Force jet, probably an Su-25 fighter, climbing and approaching the Malaysian passenger aircraft. The Su-25 was between 3 and 5 kilometers away from the Malaysian Airlines plane. The fighter jet is capable of reaching an altitude of 10,000 meters for short periods of time. Its standard armament includes R-60 air-to-air missiles, which are capable of locking and destroying targets within a range of 12 kilometers, and which are guaranteed to hit their target from a distance of 5 kilometers. What was a military aircraft doing on a route intended for civilian planes, flying at almost the same time and the same altitude as a passenger airliner? We would like to receive an answer to this question. To corroborate this evidence, we have a video taken at the Regional Air Traffic Control Center in Rostov. Lieutenant General Igor Makushev, Chief of the Air Force Main Staff, will comment on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, today, Russia's Federal Air Transport Agency released the relevant records of the Rostov Area Control Center of the Russian Federation's Unified Air Traffic Management System. This video footage displays flight status information over Donetsk as of July 17, 2014, between 17:19 and 17:25 Moscow time. In the upper left-hand corner, you see a mark from the Boeing 772 en route from Copenhagen to Singapore. Beneath it is a mark from the Boeing 777 en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. To the right of it is a mark from the Boeing 778 en route from Delhi to Birmingham. All three aircraft were continuously detected by three radar stations of the Air Traffic Management System and the Russian Ministry of Defense. The Boeing 777 flight MH17 is heading towards the Russian border and is supposed to cross it at the Tonak point. Monitoring the aircraft's flight path, an air traffic controller constantly inquires about its flight variables to compare them against the flight path. At 17:20, with 51 kilometers to go till the Russian border, moving at a 300-degree azimuth angle, the aircraft started to abruptly lose speed, which is clearly reflected in the aircraft status chart. At 17:21 and 35 seconds, with the Boeing's velocity having dropped to 200 kilometers per hour, a new mark detecting an airborne object appears at the spot of the Boeing's destruction. The new airborne object was continuously detected for the duration of 4 minutes by the radar stations at Ust-Donetsk and Batuninskaya. An air traffic controller requested the characteristics of the new airborne object, but was unable to get any readings on its parameters, most likely due to the fact that the new aircraft was not equipped with a secondary surveillance radar transponder, which is a distinctive feature of military aircraft. Detecting this airborne object at an earlier stage was not possible, since our radar sites normally monitor airspace in standard observation mode, which only enables aircraft detection at this range at an altitude of upwards of 5,000 meters. Detecting the new aircraft became possible as it started to ascend. Further changes in the airborne object's coordinates suggest that it was hovering above the Boeing 777 crash site, monitoring the situation. Ukrainian officials earlier claimed that there were no Ukrainian military aircraft in the area of the crash that day. As you can see, that is not true. Thank you.
We have a question for our colleagues in the United States. US officials claim to have satellite imagery proving that the Malaysian Airlines plane was shot down by a missile launched by the militia. However, no one has been shown these photographs. As far as we know, there was indeed a US satellite passing over southeast Ukraine on July the 17th between 17:06 and 17:21 Moscow time. This satellite is part of an experimental system designed to track and monitor the launches of missiles of various ranges. If our US colleagues have images from the satellite, they should release them for detailed examination by international experts. This may be a coincidence, but the US satellite passed over Ukraine at exactly the time that the Malaysian airliner went down. In conclusion, I would like to say that the information we have presented here is based on objective and reliable data from various technical systems. The same cannot be said of the unsubstantiated accusations that have been made against Russia. For example, media outlets have circulated a video supposedly showing a Buk system being transported from Ukraine to Russia. This is clearly a fabrication. This video was filmed in the town of Krasnoarmeysk, as shown on the billboard that you can see in the background, advertising a car dealership at the address 34 Dnepropetrovsk Street. Krasnoarmeysk has been controlled by the Ukrainian military since May the 11th, so this raises several questions. Where did this launch vehicle come from? Where was it being transported to? Where is it right now? Why are some of the missiles missing? And when was the last time a missile was launched from it? Finally, I would like to state clearly that Russia has never provided the militia fighters with Buk surface-to-air missiles, or with any other weapons or military hardware. The Defense Ministry will immediately send the materials that we have to experts in Malaysia and to nations of the European Union. I hope that they will carry out an unbiased investigation into the tragedy that occurred near Donetsk on July the 17th.